Hello everyone and welcome to this video on special drawing rights. Special drawing rights are a fascinating financial instrument that can play a vital role in India's economic development. In this video we will talk about what SDRs are, how they work, what are the advantages and disadvantages of SDR for India. Now what are SDRs? SDRs are an international reserve asset created by the International Monetary Fund in 1969 to supplement the official reserve of its member countries. SDRs are not a currency, but rather a potential claim on the freely usable currencies of the IMF members. This means that SDRs can be exchanged for other currencies such as US dollars, euros, and Japanese yen. Now, how do SDRs work? The primary purpose of SDR is to provide additional liquidity to the global financial system. SDR can be used by IMF member countries to meet their balance of payment obligation. They can be exchanged for other currencies, used to repay IMF loans, or used to settle international payments. SDR can also be used to collateralize loans and other financial transactions. When SDRs are initially allocated to any IMF member country, the member is given two positions. The two positions are the SDR holding and the SDR allocation. Countries receive interest on their holdings and pay interest based on their allocation position. The interest amount for both positions is based on the SDR interest rate. The two position values start out the same. Therefore, the interest received and the interest paid cancel each other out. When a country trades SDR for freely usable currencies, their holdings decrease and their foreign exchange reserve increases. This causes the holdings to fall below the allocations. When this happens, the interest payment associated with the two positions do not cancel each other out. The country will pay more interest than it receives. Alternatively, if a country trades freely usable currencies for SDR, their holdings can increase above their allocation position. The country will then receive more interest than it pays out. For more than 3 decades, the SDR market has functioned purely on a voluntary basis. The fund facilitates transactions between members seeking to sell or buy SDRs and these counterparties to the voluntary arrangements that effectively make a market in SDRs. Under the guidance of the fund, participants in the SDR department can also enter into bilateral transactions amongst themselves or with the prescribed holders. In the event that there are not enough voluntary buyers of SDR, the IMF can designate members with strong balance of payment position to provide freely usable currency in exchange for SDRs. This so-called designation mechanism ensures that a participant can use its SDR to readily obtain an equivalent amount of currency if it has a need for such a currency because of its balance of payments, its reserve position or development in its reserves. The designation mechanism has not been activated since 1987.
Let's talk about how the IMF calculates the value of SDR. It is based on a basket of 5 currencies that include US dollar, euro, Chinese yuan, Japanese yen, and the British pound sterling. The weight of these currencies are determined by their share in the global export of goods and services. The value of SDR is calculated daily by IMF and it is uploaded on its website. As of 21 September 2023, one SDR was equal to 1.32 US dollar. Let's talk about how the IMF calculates the interest rate of SDR. IMF calculates the interest rate on SDR on weekly basis. It is based on weighted average of the interest rate on the short-term debt instrument and the 5 currencies in the SDR basket. The SDR interest rate is used to calculate the interest that IMF members earn on their SDR holdings and the interest that they pay on the SDR loans. The current SDR interest rate is 4.145%.
Now let's talk about India and SDRs. India is a founder member of the IMF. India has not taken any financial assistance from the IMF since 1993. Repayment of all the loans taken from the International Monetary Fund were completed on 31st May 2000. India is the 8th largest quota holding country at the IMF with a quota of more than 13,000 million SDR. This gives India a shareholding of 2.75% in the IMF. The International Monetary Fund has made an allocation of special drawing rights 12.57 billion, which is equivalent to around US dollar 17.86 billion to India on August 23, 2021. The total SDR holdings of India now stands at 13.66 billion SDR, which is equivalent to around US dollar 19.41 billion as on August 23, 2021. India's SDR holdings are a reflection of its strong economic position and its importance in the global financial system. SDRs can be used by India to meet its international payments and liquidity needs and to provide financial assistance to other countries in need. Advantages of SDR for India. There are a number of advantages to SDR for India. First, SDR are a highly liquid asset. This means that they can be easily exchanged for other currencies, which can be useful for meeting balance of payment obligations or covering unexpected expenses. Second, SDRs are a low cost asset. The SDR department pays interest on SDR holding to each member and levies charges on SDR allocation of each member at the same rate, the SDR interest rate. Thus, an SDR allocation is cost free for all the members because charges and interest net out to zero if the countries do not use their SDR allocation. Participants incur a very small annual levy to cover the operational cost of the SDR department, recently around 1,000th of the 1% levied on the cumulative allocation of each participant. Third, SDRs are a safe asset. They are backed by the IMF, which is a global institution with a strong track record of financial stability. Fourth, SDRs can help reduce India's reliance on the US dollar. SDRs are a basket of five currencies including the US dollar, euro, Japanese yen, Chinese renminbi, and British pound. This means that India can use SDRs to meet its international financial without having to rely solely on the US dollar. Fifth, SDRs can help to boost India's foreign exchange reserves. SDRs can be exchanged for other currencies which can help India to increase its foreign exchange reserves. This can make India more resilient to external economic shocks.
Let's talk about the disadvantages of SDRs for India. The first one is the fluctuations in the value of SDR. The value of SDRs is determined by the exchange rates of the five currencies in the SDR basket. This means that the value of SDRs can fluctuate over time, which can reduce some uncertainty for the countries that are holding SDRs. The second one is no direct purchases of goods and services. SDRs cannot be used to make direct purchase of goods and services. First, it has to be exchanged for other currencies to make payment. Thus, one more step is added in the process of international payment. The third one is it is not widely used as compared to reserve currencies like euro, dollar, British pound sterling. It entirely makes the process of exchange of SDR more difficult. The fourth one is not cost free. The countries that exchange their SDRs for currency will incur net charges on the difference between their cumulative SDR allocations and their SDR holdings. Overall, the advantages of SDRs for India outweighs the disadvantages. The SDRs can help India to reduce its reliance on the US dollar, boost its foreign exchange reserves, and become more resilient to the external economic shocks. SDRs have been used to benefit countries around the world. For example, during the COVID-19 pandemic, the general SDR allocation of IMF to the member countries helped countries to meet their balance of payment obligations, boost their foreign exchange reserves during a time of great economic uncertainty. So, in conclusion, we can say that SDRs are an important international reserve asset that can play an important role in India's economic development. By diversifying its portfolio of reserve assets to include SDRs, India can reduce its reliance on the US dollar, boost its foreign exchange reserves, and become more resilient to the external economic shock. I hope this video has been informative. Thank you for watching.